Ever notice how some people walk into a space and everything just shifts? Not because they're the loudest or the flashiest, but because there's something different about their energy. They're not performing, they're not seeking attention, yet everyone seems drawn to them like gravity. What's their secret? It's not charisma tricks or social hacks. It's something the ancient Stoics understood centuries ago, a quality they called inner command. While the world rewards those who shout, true magnetism belongs to those who've mastered the art of stillness. Today, we're breaking down 6 ancient principles that create this invisible pull, not so you can manipulate attention, but so you can become genuinely captivating by simply being more yourself. Principle 1. The art of presence. We live in the age of partial attention. Everyone's half listening while thinking about their next Instagram story. But there's incredible power in being the person who's actually here. The core teaching. When Epictetus said we're given 2 ears and 1 mouth, he wasn't just being clever. He understood that attention is the rarest gift you can give another human being. Real listening isn't waiting for your turn to talk. It's creating space where someone feels genuinely witnessed. Why it creates magnetism. Think about the last time someone made you feel truly heard. They weren't checking their phone. They weren't planning their response. Their eyes said, "Right now, you're what matters most to me." That feeling is rare enough to be unforgettable. Most people are so starved for genuine attention that when they find someone who offers it, they never want to let go. Your focused presence tells others, you're not just noise to me, you're worth understanding.
The psychological shift. Silence isn't emptiness, it's strength. When you resist the urge to fill every gap with words, you're exercising self-mastery. You're saying, I don't need to prove my intelligence or win this conversation. I'm secure enough to just listen. That security radiates. People sense it instinctively. Practical application. Start small. In your next conversation, practice the pause. Before responding, take 1 full breath. Notice the impulse to interrupt, then let it pass. Watch their body language, their tone shifts, the words they emphasize. Try this meditation. Spend 5 minutes daily simply observing your own thoughts without judgment. The better you become at listening to yourself, the more naturally you'll listen to others with compassion. The deeper truth. Charismatic speakers may entertain, but attentive listeners transform. When you master presence, you don't just become someone people enjoy, you become someone they trust with their truth. Principle 2. Emotional equilibrium. There's a particular kind of person who makes you feel safe without saying a word. While chaos swirls around them, they remain anchored. That unshakable calm isn't weakness, it's mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote that tranquility comes from living in harmony with what you can control. The Stoics knew a secret. You can't control the storm, but you can absolutely control whether you're swept away by it. The water metaphor. Picture your mind as a lake.
When the surface is still, you see everything with perfect clarity, the sky, the trees, the truth. But when winds of anxiety and fear ripple through, the reflection becomes distorted. Clarity requires stillness. Why it creates magnetism. People unconsciously seek emotional shelter. When you can maintain your center while others are losing their own, you become a refuge. They don't even know why they're drawn to you. They just know being near you makes the world feel less overwhelming. Peace isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you sharpen daily.
Before reacting to stress, pause and ask, can I control this? If yes, act deliberately. If no, release it consciously. This simple filter prevents 90% of unnecessary suffering and makes you unmovable. The modern world rewards speed, but the powerful move with intention. That deliberate composure creates an aura that separates you from the reactive masses. The authority of calm. Peaceful people don't need to display strength. Their composure proves it. They're not swayed by flattery or criticism because they understand that external validation is just weather passing through. Practical application. Daily practice. 5 minutes of sitting in complete silence. No phone, no music, no podcasts. Just you and the quiet. Notice the discomfort. Sit with it anyway. Over time, that external stillness builds internal calm. When you embody peace, people feel it in your handshake, your eye contact, your unhurried movements. That's magnetic on a primal level. Principle 3. Intentional communication. Introduction. Some people speak once and the room remembers. Others talk constantly and nobody recalls a word. The difference isn't volume, it's deliberateness. The core teaching. Epictetus taught, either remain silent or say something better than silence. Every word is a choice, a small commitment of your integrity. The wise understand this, so they speak rarely but meaningfully.
Why empty talk fails. When you speak just to fill space or prove your intelligence, people sense the insecurity underneath. But when you choose your words carefully, others lean in because they know you're not wasting their time. The power of restraint. Silence can communicate more than 1,000 explanations. When you understand when to speak and when to hold back, you demonstrate self-control, the foundation of respect. The modern context. In a world where everyone broadcasts their every thought, your measured responses become striking. Your pauses create anticipation. Your words land with impact because they're chosen, not automatic. Notice the people you admire most. They rarely dominate conversations, but when they speak, you remember what they said days later. That's intentional communication. Self-talk matters. How you speak to yourself shapes how you speak to the world. Harsh internal dialogue creates harsh external communication. Gentle self-talk cultivates compassionate, confident expression. Practical application. Before speaking, ask, does this need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Does it need to be said now? This triple filter eliminates 80% of unnecessary noise. Practice alignment. Let your actions prove your words. When what you do matches what you say, trust becomes automatic. That integrity makes every word you speak more valuable. The lasting impact. Persuasive speakers impress momentarily. Purposeful speakers leave marks that last. When your words come from inner clarity rather than ego, they resonate at a frequency people can't ignore.
Principle 4. Grace under pressure. Everyone faces storms. The question is, who do you become when the winds hit? Your response to adversity reveals more about you than 1,000 perfect days ever could. The core teaching. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle is the way." Stoics didn't avoid difficulty. They used it as raw material for growth. Fire doesn't weaken iron. It forges it into something stronger. True magnetism in crisis. Real attraction isn't the smile you wear during easy times. It's the composure you maintain when everything is falling apart. The person who stays gentle when their heart is breaking, who remains steady when others panic, that's someone who commands silent admiration. Reframing adversity. Don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this revealing to me?" That single shift transforms you from victim to student. And someone who learns from pain can never be permanently defeated. The concept of amor fati. The Stoics practiced amor fati, love of fate. They didn't just tolerate hardship, they embraced it as necessary for their becoming. When you can see challenges as catalysts rather than curses, you access a resilience most people never find. Silent strength. People with real strength never announce it. Their calm during chaos speaks louder than any declaration. They don't complain, blame, or seek sympathy. They simply stand up, dust off, and continue. That quiet durability is magnetic in a way flashy confidence never achieves. Practical application. When facing difficulty, pause and journal. What strength is this developing? What weakness is this exposing? How am I different on the other side? This practice turns every setback into a stepping stone. The deeper recognition. Others may not know what you've endured, but they'll sense the depth in your eyes, the steadiness in your voice, the earned confidence in how you carry yourself. Survivors who smile have a gravity that success alone can't create. Principle 5. Authentic alignment. The fastest way to lose your natural magnetism is trying to please everyone. When you constantly adjust yourself to fit others' expectations, you slowly disappear.
Here's the paradox. The more you chase approval, the more forgettable you become. But when you live according to your own values, even your critics respect you. The core teaching. Marcus Aurelius said, "If your actions are right, don't concern yourself with opinions." Public opinion shifts like wind. Integrity is the compass that keeps you steady, regardless of which way the crowd is blowing. What is integrity really? Integrity means having the courage to live truthfully even when it's uncomfortable. It's saying no to what violates your values, even if it disappoints people. It's honesty, even when silence would be easier. The beautiful part, integrity doesn't need to be declared. It shows in your eyes, your decisions, how you treat people when nobody's watching. The approval trap. Maybe you've been there, changing your opinions, your style, your personality, just to be accepted. But that borrowed approval never brings peace because it depends on something you can't control. When your emotional state is dictated by others' perceptions, you'll never feel enough. The freedom of consistency. Magnetic people aren't loved by everyone. They're respected for their consistency. They don't shapeshift for praise. They don't compromise their core just to feel safe. They do what's right even when they stand alone. That unwavering authenticity radiates a power that even disagreement can't diminish.
The Stoic insight. Seneca wrote, "No person can live happily who serves the opinions of others." When you stop chasing validation, you start finding yourself. And when you find yourself, you become irreplaceable. The cost and the reward. Living authentically isn't always comfortable. You'll feel misunderstood sometimes. People might call you difficult. But temporary isolation is infinitely better than permanent self-betrayal. Those who leave because you're being real were never your people anyway. Those who stay, they're there for who you actually are, not the performance you've been giving. Practical application. Write your non-negotiables. What values will you never compromise? When will you always speak up? What boundaries are sacred? Review this list when you feel pressure to conform. The quiet magnetism. Integrity carries a silent authority. It doesn't need to be advertised or defended. It makes people trust you at a level that words can't reach. You become the light that doesn't need to announce it's shining. Others just naturally move toward you. Principle 6. Progress over perfection. Introduction. We're obsessed with flawlessness. We want to speak without stumbling, act without error, live without failure. But the chase for perfection is actually what keeps us stuck. Perfection is fiction. Growth is the only truth. The core teaching. Marcus Aurelius wrote,
If you stumble, stand, and continue, that itself is victory. Stoics never expected perfection. They expected continuous improvement. They knew mistakes aren't the end, they're the curriculum. Why perfection repels? Here's something strange. People trying hardest to appear flawless often create distance. But those who admit their works in progress, who share their unfinished journey, they inspire us because they're real. They remind us we don't need to be error-free to be valuable. We just need the courage to keep learning. The magnetism of authenticity. True attraction doesn't come from doing everything right. It comes from never quitting on your growth. Someone genuinely working on themselves radiates humility, persistence, and honesty. They don't boast or compete. They just quietly become better. That makes them unforgettable. The growth mindset in practice. Think about someone patient with their own learning curve. They don't punish themselves for mistakes. They extract lessons. They don't crumble after failure. They ask, "What's this teaching me?" Every setback becomes refinement. Every scar becomes proof of a courageously lived life. The Stoic view. Stoics taught that fulfillment doesn't come from perfection, but from rational living and character development. When you focus on growth, fear of mistakes dissolves. You become more open, more flexible, more gentle with yourself. The daily question. Don't ask, "Am I perfect yet?" Ask, "Am I better than yesterday?" Small improvements compound. A little more patience today, a little more discipline tomorrow, a little more trust in the process. Change doesn't happen in dramatic leaps. It happens in steady, authentic steps. The connection factor. When you stop pretending to be perfect, you become genuine. And that's when natural attraction happens, because everyone's exhausted from performing, from wearing the masks society hands them. When you dare to be honestly imperfect, you give others permission to do the same. That creates the deepest form of human connection. Practical application. Keep a growth journal. Each week, note, what did I learn? Where did I struggle? How am I different? This practice turns life into a laboratory instead of a test. Conclusion. The integration. Bringing it together. Looking back, you'll see the true magnetism never came from appearance, status, or clever words. It came from the peace you cultivated, the self-mastery you developed, and the authenticity you protected. These 6 principles, deep presence, emotional equilibrium, intentional speech, grace under pressure, authentic alignment, and committed growth, don't just make you magnetic to others, they help you rediscover yourself. The ultimate realization. When you truly master yourself, you stop needing to prove anything. You stop chasing approval, because real worth isn't found in others' eyes. It's found in the respect you hold for yourself. A person with inner strength isn't always right. They're calm enough to recognize when they're wrong, correct course, and keep growing. The Stoic reminder. Marcus Aurelius knew, peace comes only from being true to yourself. When you live this way, magnetism isn't something you create, it's the natural result of how you exist. Others feel your strength in your presence, your listening, the quiet consistency of your actions. The journey continues. This isn't about reaching a destination. It's about walking the path with steady eyes, an open heart, and a learning spirit. Life doesn't require perfection, only progress. And here's what Stoic philosophy keeps teaching us. You can't control outcomes, but you can always control your effort. Focus on the journey, not the finish line. The final truth. In that journey of growth, you don't just become stronger, you become magnetic in a way external beauty could never match. Not because you're trying to attract others, but because you've become genuinely worth knowing. The most enduring magnetism doesn't make people look at you, it makes them feel at peace when you're near.